Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and with Invincible Season 2 now wrapped up, I thought we'd look into the future. Season 3 is being currently worked on, and we know that there's a couple of episodes in the bank. Steve and Yuen's confirmed that the next series won't have the delay, and I can't wait to see what happens in it. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through the comics to talk about the main stories that I think are going to come. Heavy spoilers ahead, so if you don't want that ruined, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. Please hit the thumbs up, and if you enjoy it, make sure you subscribe for videos like this every day. But out of the way, huge thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Invincible Season 3.
I feel shame and regret for my actions. I see the suffering of lesser beings, and it upsets me.
Now, the first thing I want to talk about is how we left Season 2. That had a really personal scene to close things out, and we ended with Nolan confessing he missed his wife. Now, he and Alan end up escaping, and on board the ship they also find Battle Beast. Such a cool character to have pop up in the prison, and it all goes down in issue 55. That has Alan constantly being scheduled for execution, but this ends up actually empowering him. As we discovered, what doesn't kill him makes him stronger, and thus the constant executions have just upped his strength. He sets all the prisoners free, and Alan and Nolan storm the ship, but there's now the worry that some Viltrumites will come for them. It's at this point that Nolan reveals the truth, and that there's only 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left. This is the reason why they can beat them, and the Coalition might actually have a chance. Now, it turns out that humans have DNA that's 99% similar to the Viltrumites, and thus Earth is to become a breeding colony. This will enslave us, which becomes their true mission for taking over. And Nolan ends up joining the Coalition, and he starts to recruit other people in the universe. This includes people like Tech Jacket and also the Space Racer. Now, it turns out that Nolan fought him centuries before, and that he buried him under rubble on an asteroid. Alan and Nolan believe that he might be dead due to starvation, but they want to go to his corpse to get that invincible gun. Upon touching it, this then goes to its master and pulls Space Racer out the rubble. He's obviously a bit mad, but they manage to talk him around and get him on their side. Although that's pushing towards the Viltrumite war, there's a lot going on with the other villains. Turns out that Angstrom Levy's alive and that he's been spying on Mark. Throughout the book, they keep finding cameras in the tree outside their house, and it turns out that he's managed to get healed. He reached back into the Doctor dimension, and they came together to help fix his face. Can't fix yours, but he then goes on to recruit marks from other universes, and they then storm the planet. It's a massive battle that's one of the standouts of the comics, and it sees all the heroes coming together. And this leads into a big death, with Rexplode having to self-destruct. Left with no weapons, he ends up charging his own skeleton, and this then blows up, killing a Mark. Now Mark then goes to rebuild, and this allows us to see the destruction across the world. Luckily, that's the worst of it, though. Oh shit! Is that Conquest? Yep. So Inissa teased that there was another Viltrumite coming who'd replace Mark if he hadn't agreed to join them. Conquest has come to collect, and he's here to smash Mark's face like the like button. It's by far one of the biggest battles in the entire book, with it being a bloodthirsty beating in which Mark's beaten Black and Blue. Now, speaking of Black and Blue, his second suit hasn't shown up, but the title cards have been teasing that it's coming down the line. I was actually expecting him to get it in this season, but unfortunately, we're just getting it teased in the intro. So that's a prediction for Season 3 as well, and I hope they create the classic cover from Invincible 63. Now, Eve ends up arriving to help out, but she gets impaled through the stomach by Conquest's hand. She ends up seemingly dying, but in the end, she goes Super Saiyan. Eve completely decimates Conquest, and she's able to finally tap into living atoms. If you've seen her special, then you might remember that they explained she could only manipulate objects with her powers being restricted to inanimate things. However, we learn this was a mental block put on her, and that she has the ability to do it. When pushed to the limit or close to death, her powers will supercharge and allow her to overcome it. So she completely rips Conquest apart, and in this moment, it seems like he's dead. Eve ends up being healed, but her powers start to fluctuate as we go through the book. It turns out that this is because she's pregnant, which is a secret thing that she's kept from Mark. This is what also ends up sending her powers haywire, and it'll be interesting to see if this comes up in the season. Now, family is a big thing in the comics too, and I think Season 3 is going to have an arc with Oliver. He ends up growing at an alarming rate, and I think we're going to see him hit his teenage years. He wants to become a superhero too, and Mark decides that he's going to train him. However, this catches the eye of Cecil, who Mark gets angry at for trying to recruit his brother. He also sees that Cecil's recruited Darkwing, which Mark has issues with due to him being a killer. Everything slowly starts to kick off from issue 49, which becomes one of the most page-turning parts of the book. Mark goes to confront Cecil at the Pentagon, and while he's there, he learns a terrible secret. He discovers that Cecil had been working with the Ace and Claire, and Cecil tricks him into going to the White Room. He started to suspect that Mark had turned dark, and he's put things in place to take him down if it comes to it. Ambushing him with a bunch of Rihanna men, he then revealed the hearing device in Mark's head but had another side to it. So I'm sure you've seen through the season that Mark has an inbuilt earpiece that allows him to talk directly to Cecil. Well, it turns out this can also emit a high frequency sound which completely decimates Mark's inner ear function. It throws him off balance, makes him want to vomit, and means that he's in agonizing pain. It's the only major weakness they could discover for the Viltrumites, and Cecil just ends up hammering this to throw him off course. Mark realizes that if he flies, he can get away from the remote, but Cecil chases him across the planet, teleporting behind him every step of the way. We get such a cool double spread where we see this happening, and it's one of my favorite images in the comics. To make matters worse, Mark just can't knock it out of Cecil's hand, because we learn he's got a contingency plan for that too. If it's removed, then it just goes on a loop, and thus Mark, he's pretty screwed. Now Mark manages to make it to the Guardians, where he tells them that Cecil's trying to kill him. They really don't know what's going on, and when Cecil arrives, they're all pretty shocked. They start asking questions, but when those Rihanna men show up, they immediately start fighting them. Robot manages to shut down Cecil's device, and finally it ends the fight. Mark then grabs Cecil by the throat and angrily tells him to stop watching him, and if he tries to recruit his brother, then he's just gonna kill him. He returns home beaten up and then sees Eve there, which is when the pair finally kiss and decide to be together. I'd love to see something like that happen in the series, and I think it would be a pretty good cliffhanger for a midpoint if they split it into 2 parts again. Now obviously stuff is really tense between the pair, but Cecil tries to repair things over time. Cecil of course worries that Mark might be going bad, and Mark's constantly suspicious that Cecil's up to something. Now that thing about the cameras before, that doesn't go down too well, and at first Mark suspects they're from Cecil instead of Levy. To make matters worse, Oliver's starting to turn against humanity, and he's beginning to question who exactly that he is. It all goes down in issue 52 when the Maulers show up and hijack weapons. They want to launch a missile into the sky which will control the flow of information and thus control the world. Mark's beaten by them, but then his brother shows up and accidentally kills both the Maulers. Cecil arrives and is kind to him, which Mark once more sees as him trying to recruit him. Oliver is of course a Thraxan, and he says if we don't care, then why should he? He asks if Mark thinks Dad was right, and Mark says sometimes, which then ends the issue. Issue 53 begins with Mark arguing with Oliver, as Ollie says no part of him is human. He's half Thraxan and half Viltrumite, and therefore doesn't really have any loyalty to our species. He also talks about his life at home on Thraxa and says he thinks his home society was vastly better than ours. He has perfect memories and remembers all his life, and just hates how selfish humans are. It really shows a conflict within him and makes Mark start to question what it is he's doing. After they're attacked by Levy in Conquest, Mark then makes a promise that he'll kill anyone he has to. He says if anyone puts his family in danger, then it's a path he's going to have to take, and it's such a chilling way to end that part of the comic. I think closing out the 3rd season like that would be really impactful, and it'll take us to roughly the midpoint of Omnibus 2. From here on is where everything kind of changes as well, and it would be a great way, I think, to tease a season 4. Fingers crossed that it isn't too far away, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you guys want to see. Please drop a like on the video, and if you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society, then please click the join button. Get early access to videos every week. It goes a massive way to helping us out, and I really appreciate all you guys who help support the channel, and videos like this get made. Makes a massive difference. Now if you want to get some Heavy Spoilers merch, we've also got our t-shirt line located below the video. This will let you pick up all kinds of tops like our Theory Time one that I'm wearing now. We've got House of Dragon stuff on there, boys stuff, Marvel tees inspired things, and a lot more. We drop new designs on there all the time too, so definitely keep an eye out, and thank you if you bought one. Now if you want some else to watch, you've got a breakdown on screen right now going over the Invincible Season 2 finale and all our thoughts on it. Every Easter egg, every callback of the comic, we've got you covered, so yeah, definitely head over there right after this. By the way, huge thank you for sticking through the video. I've been your host Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.